Okay, so it is January 13, 2022. It's 9:13 in the AM, 13:13. There's stuff I want to chat about. I hope everything's plugged in because I should have checked it. Because I did unplug the microphone. Oh, it fell behind my butt. I did unplug the microphone yesterday for a minuet. I've got the TV muted, but I just watched Craig Melvin from the Today Show, who I do like, interview Vice President Harris, and she didn't answer not one question he asked her. At least he asked. You know what I mean? Most of these people don't. And yeah, so what was I really thinking about? I was really thinking about Bond. And I usually do these as actual videos and all that stuff, but I'm just looking at Twitter. So Twitter has asked this person named Naya, I think that's how you say it, Nija, on the Tweety, asked who should be the next Bond. And she put pictures of 10 actors in tuxedos. Well, sort of tuxedos, most of them. And the top 5 are all black guys, and the bottom 5 are all white guys. So some people are mad about that. Some people are mad about who's not included. Here's who she put. She put Idris Elba. This Regé-Jean Page. I don't know how to say his name. I never watched that show. Daniel Kaluuya, Michael B. Jordan, John Boyega, Cillian Murphy, Tom Holland, Chris Hemsworth, Michael Fassbender. She left the L off of Michael, or is there something wrong with my screen? And Tom Hardy. Anyway, I don't know if this is her photo or she just put one up, but people are complaining about stuff. Everybody complains about Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland. Let me go through each of them, okay, that are on this page. Idris Elba. I'd be fine with Idris Elba, to tell you the truth. Although I think he's kind of old to start from scratch, and I don't think they ever start from scratch. So why Daniel Craig quit because he's old? I think he quit because his movies weren't that great, and he wanted to do other things, and it took a lot of his good years of his career. I'm not saying he didn't do anything else. He was in Knives Out. I don't know what else he was in, though. But, you know, when you play a certain character, and you need to be reserved for that character, it's hard for you to take other projects. But Idris Elba, I'd be fine with. You know, maybe they shouldn't have such a Bond for such a long time, or maybe when they do get a Bond, they should do in a Lord of the Rings fashion, shoot like 3 movies at once, or something like that. You know, like give everybody a trilogy, and then move on to another guy. They'll probably pump those out really fast. Now that I think about it, now that I said it like that. This, like I said, this Reggie, whatever his name is, I don't know him, so I can't say. Daniel Kaluuya, well, he's the most regular looking person in the world, completely not James Bond at all. And I can say the same thing for John Boyega. They're just so normal. They're just so regular guy. James Bond is not supposed to be a regular guy. Michael B. Jordan is an American. He's really good looking. If the people who don't like young, he's probably too young too. But I don't know how old he is. He could be the same age as Tom Holland, because Tom Holland looks little, but he's like 25 at this point, something like that. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan, he's good looking. He could play that type. I don't know that you should, like I said, Bond should be British. Bond should be British. And in the Idris Elba case, we're talking about should black. I've never read a James Bond book. I don't know how he was described. I don't think that Roger Moore looked anything like Timothy Dalton, or George Lazenby looked like either one of them, or Sean Connery looked like either one of them. So I don't know what James Bond is supposed to look like. The idea that it's the same character and different guys are playing him, I mean, you know, I don't know. I think where you get different looking people to play the same character, that could be more, that lends itself to the idea that James Bond is, what do you call it? It's just a code name or something, like, you know, like a made up name, like Doctor Strange, instead of, you know, their real name, instead of the person to real, like the people take on the mantle, like Batman, you know. Cillian Murphy, I like Cillian Murphy a lot. But I wouldn't have picked him as Bond. Because, like I said before, and the reason I used to think Henry Cavill would be really good, or why I think Tom Hardy's perfect, which I jumped the gun, I think that James Bond has to be, he has to come across as somebody who could be a spy. He has to have that kind of swagger. He has to, but for me, as going all the way back to being a kid, James Bond was a cool guy who could beat people up, had cool gadgets, looked really good, and used to, womanize. My problem with Pierce Brosnan as Bond was that I never saw him as a slut. I never saw him as a male slut. I never saw him as somebody who would, toss women to the curb. And I feel like I prefer James Bond to be like that. Now, again, they try to change for GoldenEye because it was even the 90s. They wanted to make Bond more progressive or whatever. So they were like, well, we don't want him to be that way anyway. And I'm like, And Sean Bean, who played 006, is one of my favorite actors, and he would have been a great Bond, in my opinion, because my favorite Bond, the one I grew up with, was Roger Moore. So, again, I don't mind the blonde thing. And Daniel Craig I like, but I didn't think as Bond, I didn't like his Bond. Well, he didn't end up fitting the role, which I liked him before. And I didn't think he was a bad choice, but anyway, so Cillian Murphy, again, I don't see Cillian Murphy as a slut at all. I don't see him as a womanizer type guy. Now, Tom Holland, I think he is a little slut deep down, but he's kid in most people's eyes. That's why when I really started to think about him, I'm like, if not Tom Hardy, I could really see Tom Holland in like an origin story of Bond, like how Bond became Bond, because I don't know that they ever did that. I forget what the first, like I said, I didn't read the books. I think the first book was supposed to be On Her Majesty's Secret Service, wasn't it? And then you did that movie with George Lazenby. I remember liking it, but for the life of me right now, I couldn't tell you what the plot was. Because I haven't seen it since I was probably in high school. What happened to the title list? I thought I called it Morning Chat. Now it just says the date. Okay, then. Whatever. That is strange. Let me look at it. Wow. So, like I said, I would love a Tom Holland origin Bond. So, one of my choices is Tom Holland. Chris Hemsworth, no. He's Australian, for Christ's sake. We love him, but he's Australian. And no, I don't see him in that way. No, if he was to toss women aside, it would be cheeky and like funny and not really like a cad type womanizer. I need James Bond to come off as a cad. Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender's Irish. So is Cillian Murphy, right? I don't want to get in trouble. You get in trouble with the people and the things of who's British and who's not, and I get that all mixed up, and I don't want anybody yelling at me. But yeah, he could probably do it. He looks worse than a cat. He looks like the kind of guy you probably like burn all his shit. When he like cheats on you with everybody. But Tom Hardy, I think, is perfect, and I thought he was perfect. And like 2 movies in, I was like, he should play James Bond. I wasn't even ready. Daniel Craig. I think Daniel Craig had made 1 Bond movie, and I was like, no, Tom Hardy needs to be James Bond. I absolutely believe that 100%. But I had an idea for a movie, which I said before, with Guy Ritchie directing it, with 3 of his former actors in it, 2 of the people on this list, the other one, and I had a really good idea for it, and I actually tweeted it to Guy Ritchie once, and I think it would be amazing, but alas. So who's trending besides this? Henry Cavill, because honestly, Henry Cavill really does come across as somebody who should be Bond, and I thought that as well when I was a fan of his, but he's weird. There's something weird about him. And the thing, the thing that gets me is when I went to watch that first season of The Witcher, which I think it's an atrocious show. I don't have Netflix now anyway, but if I did, I probably would force myself to watch the second season just to see if it's still as bad. But I thought it was like, I never liked shows like Xena and Hercules. I thought they were kind of like people just running around with swords and like, you know, on some mountain with a rock and not even having any kind of set. So that stuff always looks super cheap to me. And The Witcher looks the same, and I know a lot of people like those shows, but it looks the same and stupid. Okay, so I'm there, and I'm like, okay, I'm here to see Henry Cavill, because I was still a fan of his at the time. And I'm watching it, and I'm waiting for something that the ladies or people who like Henry Cavill would like. And I'm waiting for there to be a love scene or something like that. What's my stomach growling? I half ate my toast. The Beatles, after watching Get Back, the Beatles have me eating toast again. I think I ate toast every morning in my life growing up. That was my breakfast. Like, I used to eat oatmeal when I was a kid. Right, then when I got to like high school, it was like toast every morning. And fries for breakfast. I should have been fat at fries for breakfast, fries for lunch. That was all I had every single day. Because all of us cool kids, nobody ate the lunch that was provided. Everybody got the alternate fries. Just fries, milk and fries, milk and fries. So I should have been fat then because I was basically only eating carbs. But I wasn't. It's the mail. So, what was I saying? Henry Cavill. Watching The Witcher. This guy. It was like a non-love scene. And in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., where he was very suave and very James Bond-like, there could have been a love scene. I don't know if one was written. I didn't read the script. I don't know what's going on. There should have been one. There wasn't one. And my thing is, the reason I thought he could play Bond is, again, he comes off, he really seems like he'd be a total cad. Or as Tom Cruise said, a rake. If you watch Mission Impossible. He's that type, like that Clark Gable type. He could do that, you know. Think of Clark Gable telling her, you know, I don't give a damn. He's that type, and he could be that type. And the thing is, I can't just imagine it. The main thing I liked him from was Man from U.N.C.L.E. and The Tudors. In The Tudors, he was very good at this. Okay? He was exactly the kind of guy who would use women up and throw them away. And he did for a while as Charles Brandon on that show. So he can do it. He just chooses not to, I guess. Or he chooses roles that don't have that, or whatever. Or he just wants to, you know, kill monsters that look cheap. But so after I was like, does he not want to be romantically? Does he not want to be seen in that way? Because he would be good at it, and he's not. And I'm constantly reading the reason people don't think he can be Bond is because he has no charisma. They don't think he does. But I thought he did in the past. Maybe he lost it along the way, but it was there in The Tudors. It was there in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He could do it. I don't know that he... I don't know. I don't know if he needs someone to tell him to. Or if it's the people directing him. Or I don't know. I wonder why in the last... You know, ever since he's been Superman, if he was trying to be PG and everything to maintain the image of Superman outside of the movies, because he felt like he needed to be a role model, and therefore he didn't want to do anything, like he didn't want to do any saucy business in other movies, in the effort to just hang on to that role by hanging on to an image. I don't know. But who else do the people want? People want Strange. People for Bond. Richard Madden. I'll accept Richard Madden. I like Richard Madden a lot. You know, it's the weirdest thing. Okay, of course, we all love Rob Stark. I love Rocket Man. and he was horrible in Rocket Man. And it's kind of that movie that makes me think he can play Bond. I know he did, oh shit, what's the name of that movie, the series he did on Netflix, where he was like an agent. Anyway, in Rocket Man, he's smarmy and stuff like that, but his Rocket Man hair and stuff, I don't know why he ends up reminding me of Mike Brady from the Brady Bunch. But anyway, yes, I like Richard Madden. I will accept him as Bond, and I think he'd do a good job, but he's not my choice. Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston, I'm looking at the people have said that are not on her list. Tom Hiddleston's a little bit too proper for me, but then when I was watching Loki, there was a point in Loki I was like, oh shit, I see it now. I can see him being Bond for a second, because he had some manly moments that went beyond that like fancy pants British I usually see him as. So I was kind of like, yeah, he could do it. So I would accept Tom Hiddleston. Okay, this person's putting Riz Ahmed and Henry Golding. Okay, here's my thing with Henry Golding. Henry Golding, when I went to see Crazy Rich Asians, and I'm like, he's supposed to be the guy, he's supposed to be the leading man Asian, because I have watched so many movies with Asians, and they've been so good looking, and charismatic, and all kinds of shit, and just really, really good looking. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, oh, okay, first of all, to me, he's not that good looking. Second of all, he looks like a white guy. He mostly looks like a white guy. So everybody making a big stink about that he in Crazy Rich Asians, him being this leading man. I'm like, yeah, but he's white. He just looked totally white to me. But anyway, and I didn't like him in that. Then I saw him in The Gentleman, and I did like him in The Gentleman. Would I want him to play Bond? No, because there are a bunch of other actors who are much more Bond-like than him. I don't know if there are any other Asians in England, okay? Probably are. I don't know. Riz Ahmed, no. He looks like a kid. You want to say Tom Holland looks like a kid? He looks like a kid too. And he's all right, but he's not good looking enough. Come on. There's Henry again. I don't know who the hell this is. Somebody posted a picture of some guy like I'm supposed to know who that is. Benedict Cumberbatch. Come on. Benedict Cumberbatch's fans are crazy. They're absolute lunatics. They need glasses, okay? First of all. Second of all, if he was James Bond, I would protest. I would protest the way I did not go and see Bohemian Rhapsody because what's his face looks nothing like Freddie Mercury, and he didn't even sing. So yeah. People are putting strange Americans that have no business being in the conversation, like Terrence. I mean, Terrence Howard's a great guy. He could play a James Bond type role. He's older now, but he's an American. I'm an American. I do not want to see an American James Bond ever. Somebody put Lin-Manuel Miranda. Just shoot me in the face before you do that, okay? If I ever had to see that. You want a Puerto Rican who should play James Bond? How about Benicio? Benicio would have been. You need, first of all, I know Tom Holland's little. But if we're because in Tom Holland, I'm not talking about the traditional Bond anyway. I'm saying do an origin story, so start the whole thing over. But if we're talking about traditional Bond type person, he gotta be tall. You know. Okay, somebody's got a whole bunch of gay guys here. Luke Evans. Luke Evans is the only one, I mean, because these other guys are American. I mean, the two that I know, I think they're American. Cheyenne, forgetting his last name, and, oh shit. The one everybody thinks that Henry Cavill looks like, oh my god. I'm blanking on his name. Oh, he's so pretty. Oh my god, that's terrible. But yeah, he was on, oh my god. Isn't that strange space movie with Patrick Wilson and Liv Tyler, and he was on American Horror Stories. Well, they both were. And Something Heart movie. I can't remember his name, but Luke Evans. I mean, I was a fan of Luke Evans for a long time. He could totally do it, 100%. But again, he's in the age bracket with all these guys who are getting a little bit, you know, a little bit 40. You know what I mean? But I'm fine with it. Somebody put Peter Dinklage. Hey, you know what? If he was British, I know I just said tall, but again, if you're saying that James Bond is not the same guy all the time, fine. I don't care if he was British, but he's not, because he has the swagger. Ewan McGregor, no. I can't see James Bond getting married, and then 20 years down the line, getting a new improved version of the same thing, and then thanking them both at the same award show. I can't see James Bond doing that. He would just be a skank in the first place, not a married skank. But he's a good actor, just no. Yeah, I don't see any other people. I just see Henry Cavill keeps coming up. I don't know. There's somebody put a picture of this guy. I don't know what his name is. Alfred Enoch. He's cute. I don't know him. If he's British. But again, it's a young guy. And they've got some Asian guy. I don't know if he's British. I think he's probably Korean. Oh, no. I could see them doing this just because this guy's forehead aggravates me. This Sam Hugan or whatever. I've never seen a forehead that big in my life, except for Sade. Sade could play James Bond. Who's this guy? He's pretty. Daniel Henney. That's a nice picture. I don't know who he is. Is he British? Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, we live in this weird netherworld right now of movies or not movies. Things are going forward, they're not going forward. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Are we going to the theater? Are we not going to the theater? I think that if our governing bodies would leave well enough alone, that we'd be past all the ridiculousness with the economic aspect of, I mean, of course it's always going to be different because they ruin things for us, but in terms of going to movies, going to the grocery store and finding stuff on the shelves, if they didn't keep interfering, if they didn't keep making more ridiculous rules and closing things, and every time something closes down and people don't get their salary, those people can't buy something. So if people are closing down anything because of they don't want to spread a disease, and then those people don't have a salary, that affects the economy. So I was one of the people who thought we should never shut down in the first place. But if we were going to shut down, we had to completely shut down, which our governments weren't ready for. Meaning, like, police state and them drop off rations to everybody for like a week, which usually ends up being forever. But, you know what I mean? That's the only way to really stop a spread of anything, is for nobody to move. But so I was like, that's not possible, so we just shouldn't shut down at all because of the economy, because I knew that, yeah, people are going to die, but then people are going to also die from economic stress on top of the economic stress that's going to ruin lives of people who stay alive. And that's where we are. And there's a lot of things that I said a year ago. I mean, I was saying things before a year ago, but there's a lot of things I said a year ago you could go back and check on, that they are now agreeing with me. All the people who probably would have tried to ban me off of Twitter or YouTube or any platform because I was talking crazy talk. Now they're saying the things I said. Like, back in the day, you can see I was talking about how I used to wear a bandana when I went out, like a villain, like a proper bandit, because I didn't have money for masks and stuff like that, and I didn't want those. I needed to be able to breathe somewhat, and I was going to protect myself, and I was taking the bus all the time, so I had the bandana. It was covering my ears. I explained everything, and like I said, if you wear the surgical mask, I said at the time, if you're sneezing or whatever, it's going to come out the sides. I said it then, and they were like, oh no, cloth masks can't do anything. You can't wear a bandana. It's useless, and blah, blah, blah. And now they're on TV. Now, the Today Show lady yesterday was on TV saying how, the droplets will come out of the side. I'm like, I literally said that like a year ago when they were trying to say, oh, you can't, if you're going to take public transportation, you're going to have to wear the other mask. And I was like, I'm less protected with that mask than bandana. Don't tell me different. That was my feeling. Whether it's because they would take a bandana and spray through it. You know how hard you'd have to sneeze to spray like an aerosol thing? But whatever. So now here we are. I haven't worn a bandana. I've been wearing the surgical masks because they were around. I would get one off the bus. I'm not wearing them, right? And nobody is. And nobody cares anymore. And now they want to make us, they're going to try to force us to wear these other masks. So we can't breathe. That's all that's going to happen, is that we're going to not be able to breathe. It's important for your health to be able to breathe freely. Okay? The only reason people used to wear masks, the surgical masks, was to be in a sterile setting when you're doing an operation and opening up somebody's guts. The other kind of mask you wear is a gas mask. Okay? Or if you wear those, the other masks, the harder ones that you do construction with, so you won't breathe in all the particles and get in your lungs. Okay? But you're not supposed to be in a mask. Even surgeons, they do their surgery, they take the mask off. You're not supposed to be in a mask all day long. That's bad for you. People who work in factories or in these places where they have to wear a mask all day long for their job, they're going to get sick from breathing their own fumes. Whatever germ they have or don't have, whether it has to do with this virus or not, they'll be breathing in their own fumes. They're not going to be getting clear air. They're going to get sick from other things. Just like if you breathe car exhaust. I mean, not exactly the same. You'll die very fast if you breathe in car exhaust and you don't have any fresh air. But when you exhale, that's junk going out. You know? And if you're just breathing the junk back in, it's like if a ventilation system in a place gets clogged and then everybody gets Legionnaire's disease or whatever. I mean, it's all stupid. It's just, and that medical professionals were telling us this because they were panicked and they were taking their cues from people who they felt outranked them, despite their knowings. It's sad, but yeah. So here we are, and if the movies come back, which they were coming back, I know nobody went to see Matrix. I don't know why. I guess people all saved all their pennies for Spider-Man, and they looked forward to that for like however long they were looking forward to that. You know, just like I felt about the Matrix. Like I was like, I have to go. I can't not go. If I don't go, I'm not me anymore. Honest to God, because it was weird. It was a weird feeling I had. But so maybe movies aren't coming back. Maybe it was just Spider-Man. We'll see. But I think people were ready to go. I think people understand. I think a lot of people always knew, but they went along with it for a time. But everybody understands when there's a pandemic, when there's a virus going around, you're going to have to get it eventually, one way or another. Vaccinated, unvaccinated, that was always going to happen. And I, like my president before me said, you know, maybe it should just wash over everybody. I said that then too, and I know it's not nice and nobody wants to hear that. But we wouldn't be 2 years down the road in a stinking mess if we'd done it that way. Maybe a lot more people would have died. Yep. From the virus. But a lot of people have died. There's been a lot of increased mortality rates of people who didn't die from COVID. We're seeing statistics like that. There's the overdoses are going up. Suicides. All these things that happened during the pandemic that had nothing to do with the pandemic means that whatever lives you saved by forcing everybody to stay in the house, you could have killed people by them, you know, committing suicide because of an economic situation that was created by the lockdowns, you know, and you're not counting them as a result of the lockdowns and how it wasn't worth it. Probably count them as a COVID death, which isn't true, you know. But anyways, is that all I had to chat about? I don't think so. I think there was something else trending. Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet. Can I just say, if Amber Heard had anything to do with that, because that woman, I saw something that said that Lisa Bonet was fed up with her or something like that. And now I see yesterday that Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet are breaking up after being together for like 16, 17 years. I thought they were a weird arrangement. She always looks despondent. I don't think she is. But it was a weird situation with them. I know they're supposed to be totally in love all this time, but when she would accompany him places, she just looked like, I don't know, she just hates the whole Hollywood thing. or what, but she would just look really sad, like. But I really hope Amber Heard has nothing to do with it, because that broad, oh my God, she tried to destroy Johnny Depp. I knew her to be, I thought she was a lesbian before. I thought I had read that she was a lesbian years before she got with Johnny Depp. Or not years before, but I guess before the Rum Diary anyway, because that's where, that was like the second thing I saw her in or something, which of course she was in with him. But yeah, she's not, she doesn't seem trustworthy. Whatever. Anyways, so that felt like the, oh, Novak Djokovic is included in the Australian Open draw. Now Novak, I'm totally on his side. I don't know why they fudged the forms or whatever. I don't know who fudged the forms. I don't know what went on. But look, I've said a million times, I don't believe in cancel culture for whatever reason. I don't believe people should be stopped from doing their job, their career, their talent, their thing. So if you want to beat Novak Djokovic on the tennis court, great. If you want to find other ways to have him not win, which this could be, or you want to do all this other hijinks, hey, but when you, to me, a lot of that was about publicly punishing someone who didn't want to get a vaccine, because the narrative is to get the vaccine. So it was about putting him through hell, because as you've even seen, people like President Macron from France say they want to piss off the unvaccinated, and they have no problem telling those of us who don't want that thing that they're going to make our lives a living hell until we get it. And they seem to think it's okay. And I read tweets. I read a tweet yesterday. Somebody was talking about how horrible the unvaccinated people are, and how many. They said something like how many people they've killed, how many people the unvaccinated have killed, as if we're all a bunch of Jason Voorheeses or stuff like that. And I'm just like, I mean, if you really believe that, and some of these people really believe that everything would be fine if it weren't for the unvaccinated, like everything would be great, their whole life would be wonderful if it wasn't for the people who've decided to not get vaccinated, and the hatred they have for people who just chose not to stick something in their body, right? It's sad. It makes me sad. It makes me feel like I don't understand. You know what I mean? It's a personal choice as far as I'm concerned, and it's a health choice. And for anybody to tell you what you have to do with your health, they've been doing that for years. They did that with places regulating that the parents had to get their kids the HPV vaccine. I didn't like that, because that should be a choice. You know? It should be the parents' choice. Once they started doing stuff like that, I knew this kind of thing wasn't far behind. I didn't know how it would come. I didn't know what it would be, but it's just sad. You know? I guess that's it. But Novak Djokovic, I would like him to be in the Australian Open, and I would like him to win. I don't think I'll be able to watch any of it. That was always an ESPN thing in the past, you know, because to come on 3 o'clock. I used to, back in the day when I had all those channels, I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the Australian Open final. So, yeah, I don't know. Good luck to everybody. I hope the best man wins. I hope Noel gets to play.